The Death Star's final secrets revealed. Andor Season 2 ending explained. Andor Season 2's ending wraps up the show satisfyingly, tying the story to Rogue One by explaining the last few mysteries about the Rebel Alliance and the Death Star. The timeline of Andor Season 2 has been fairly unique thus far, with the show jumping forward a year every 3 episodes. As a result, the final 3 take place shortly before the events of Rogue One and a year after the Gorman Massacre and ensuing chaos showcased in Andor Season 2, Episode 7-9. With such close proximity to Rogue One, Andor Season 2, Episodes 10-12 tied up any remaining plot threads and left others hanging to feed directly into the former story. Be it the fates of members of Andor Season 2's cast who are not in Rogue One, like Luthen, Clea, and Dedra, or teasing the future of those who do appear in the 2016 film, the final 3 episodes provide answers and flow seamlessly into the next chronological chapter of the Star Wars saga. One big answer that Andor Season 2's ending provides naturally pertains to the Death Star. We've always wondered how the Rebel Alliance first learned about the Death Star. The rebellion had already heard whispers about the Emperor's superweapon at the beginning of Rogue One, despite the secrecy in building it. Even Cassian's first scene in Rogue One, in which he meets an informant named Tivik, sees him admit he's heard of Galen Erso and knows of his links to a secret Imperial weapon. In Andor Season 2, Episodes 10-12, we finally learn how the rebels came to know of the Death Star's existence. And the first episode of Andor Season 2's final arc, Luthen Rael is shown meeting with his long-term Imperial contact, Lonnie Young. Lonnie is exceedingly stressed and wishes to be taken away from Coruscant after scouring Dedra Meero's files and learning about the Death Star. Lonnie discovers that the mining of Kyber on Jedha, Andor Episode 8's Gorman Massacre, and several other elements that have been described as a clean energy project are all actually linked to the building of a giant weapon led by Galen Erso and based on the planet of Scarif. Lonnie makes the mistake of telling Luthen, who considers him too dangerous a loose thread, and kills him. Luthen then relays this information to Clea, yet is captured by Dedra Meero. After a series of events in which Clea tearfully kills Luthen to stop the Empire from learning his secrets, Cassian saves her and learns of the weapon himself, passing it on to Rebel Command. This explains how the Rebel Alliance even came to know about the Death Star at all, with Cassian's first Rogue One scene in which he latches onto Galen Erso's name now making a lot more sense, as he heard it from Clea. Luthen has become known for his catchphrase, "I have friends everywhere." However, Andor Season 2's ending makes this phrase incredibly ironic, where Luthen himself is concerned. A big focus of Andor Season 2's final 3 episodes is the reputation Luthen has garnered, or, more aptly, destroyed for himself. Luthen staying on Coruscant and refusing to join the other rebels caused the likes of Bail and Draven to trust him even less than they already did. Luthen was so committed to his version of the cause that he burned bridges and relationships around him. The lack of friends became a great irony and almost led to the galaxy falling as a result. Luthen discovered the Death Star before anyone else outside the ISB, but his fractured relationships meant the Rebel Alliance almost did not believe him. Without Cassian and Clea, Luthen's stubborn commitment to the rebellion may have actually caused it to falter before defeating the Empire. Bail Organa's appearance in Andor initially caused somewhat of a stir given that Benjamin Bratt played the character as opposed to the usual Jimmy Smits. That said, most viewers came to accept Bratt's casting after the explanation that Smits was not available and the former's own fantastic performance. In-universe, though, Andor is one of the storylines that shows Bail before his tragic death on Alderaan, caused by the Death Star. Thankfully, Bail gets a powerful tribute ahead of his death in the form of his final line in Andor Season 2's ending. Bail tells Andor that if he's going to go down fighting the Empire, he wants to go down swinging. In a way, Bail's future depicts exactly this. He goes down with the rest of his people as Alderaan is destroyed, but his legacy, Princess Leia, continues swinging in his name, and is integral to the Empire's eventual defeat. One of the other characters whom Andor Season 2's ending provides with a conclusion is Dedra Meero. After the incident on Gorman, Dedra is shown obsessing once more over finding Axis, aka Luthen. She eventually does, yet is arrested for it, given that she was not authorized to work on the Axis file, leading to an interesting interrogation by none other than director Orson Krennic. Krennic's interrogation links back to Lonnie's discoveries, as Dedra Meero had access to Death Star-related files. Krennic suspects Dedra of being a rebel spy, allowing Lonnie, then subsequently Luthen, and Clea to discover the truth about the Death Star. Dedra insists that this was not the case, and she simply had to scavenge for files to get leads on Axis, promising that she was unaware of Lonnie having her code clearance to access her files. Regardless, Dedra's carelessness lands her in a Narkina prison cell, rounding out her story somewhat poetically. Interestingly, despite Mon Mothma's speech and her fleeing Coruscant and the Senate in Andor Season 2, Episodes 7-9, the final 3 do not address the consequences of this decision all that much. Only one single shot that does address this is found in a final montage, showing Perrin, Mon's ex-husband, drinking in the back of a cab with a woman passed out next to him. Perrin is clearly unhappy and drinking his issues away with anyone he can, proving how Mon's family is affected by her decision to join the rebellion. Finally, the last element worth addressing about Andor Season 2's ending is the final shot. After the teases of Rogue One are embedded, Andor fades to black before showcasing the grain fields of Minarau. B2 Yemo is shown playing with another droid before Bix stalks out into the fields holding a baby in her arms. Andor Season 2, Episode 12 does not explain exactly when this scene takes place and is completely dialogue-free, but the intention is clear. Bix was pregnant when she left Cassian, with the latter's legacy living on despite his death after Andor and Rogue One. This scene is truly heartbreaking, especially after Andor Season 2, Episode 9's tragic sequence in which Bix explains that once the war is done, she will find Cassian. Cassian will never know that Bix and his child were waiting for him, but we do, as the audience, making Rogue One infinitely sadder. Admittedly, though, there is a bittersweetness to the reveal. Cassian's legacy lives on beyond Andor, as does Bix, who many theorized would die. This is a fitting finale for the character, allowing one Andor's journey to end and another's to begin.